All right, let's dive into something fascinating today. Indian mythology and how it's woven into Indian society. We've got excerpts from a conversation, really gets into all this. Can't wait to unpack it.
What I think is fascinating is how these ancient myths, especially Hindu myths,
Mhm.
have shaped social realities in India for like thousands of years.
Okay.
But I think before we get lost in the stories themselves,
Yep.
maybe it's good to just kind of set the stage a little bit.
Okay, so Hinduism, massive ancient religion, super influential. What's the key takeaway here?
I think it's helpful to think about it in comparison to Buddhism,
Mm.
right? Hinduism has a much, much larger following.
Okay.
So over 80% of India's population,
Mm.
which if you extrapolate that out, it's like almost 1.2 billion people worldwide.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and it evolved from something called Brahmanism.
Mm.
And it carried forward a really key element, which is the caste system,
Okay.
which continues to this day to really impact Indian society in very profound ways.
Mm. The caste system. Yeah, now that's something that I've always found so intriguing and perplexing.
Yeah, so essentially it's a rigid social hierarchy
Hmm.
that divides society into four main groups,
Okay.
or varnas, as
Mhm.
they call it. And so those are the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras.
Okay, so four groups.
Four groups. And you can think about it like a pyramid.
Okay.
At the very top, you have the Brahmins, the priests, scholars, teachers.
Right.
And they have immense spiritual authority.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is that they're exempt from paying taxes.
Yeah.
Because the belief is that they've already paid their dues in previous lives.
Oh, wow, no taxes. Talk about karmic credit.
Right.
I mean, it really highlights how deeply ingrained this system is, not just as a social structure, but like in their religious belief.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about the other castes? Where do they fit in?
So the Kshatriyas are the warriors and rulers
Hmm.
responsible for protecting society.
Mm-hmm.
The Vaishyas, they handle the economy.
Mm.
The merchants, traders, farmers, and then the Shudras, they're the laborers and service providers. So they're forming kind of the base of this pyramid.
Makes sense.
And then outside the system altogether are the Dalits,
Oh, right.
or what used to be known as the untouchables.
Just the term itself, untouchables, is heartbreaking. I mean, it speaks volumes about their place in society.
Yeah, tragically, they face severe discrimination and are relegated to like the most menial and undesirable tasks.
Right, right.
And the rigidity of the system basically dictates your occupation, your social standing, even who you can marry, based solely on your birth. So social mobility is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to break free from the circumstances that you're born into.
It's really difficult to reconcile that with, the image of India as a global IT powerhouse.
Yeah.
How can a system that is so rigid and so inflexible coexist with that level of technological advancement?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. I think the ancient system, in its attempt to be inflexible, actually inadvertently created a loophole in the digital age.
A loophole.
A loophole.
Okay.
Because, IT didn't exist when the caste system was first established.
Right.
So it doesn't fit neatly into any of the existing categories.
So it's kind of like uncharted territory, ripe for the taking or ripe for opportunity.
Precisely. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So it opened up this unprecedented door for people who were traditionally excluded from higher professions.
Got it.
Suddenly, anyone, regardless of their caste, with the skills and the drive, could thrive in the IT sector.
Yeah.
So it became a pathway to social and economic advancement that actually bypassed these traditional limitations.
Wow. So it's almost like it backfired in a good way.
Totally.
It was meant to restrict, but it actually fueled progress.
Absolutely.
But where did this system actually originate? What gives it the authority that it has?
The answer lies in the Rig Veda. So this is Hinduism's oldest text.
Okay.
It dates back over 4,000 years. And it explicitly outlines the caste system, lending it this almost divine mandate.
So it's like it's written in the stars. This is how it should be.
Right. And challenging this system
Mm-hmm.
carries very significant consequences.
Okay.
Even the concept of eternal damnation
Wow.
for those who disrupt the established order. So it makes it seem as if this is not just a social reality, but a divinely ordained one.
Right, right. Yet history shows us that even the seemingly most unshakable systems can be challenged. Like you think about Buddha,
Right.
born a Kshatriya, he rejected the caste system outright and kind of paved the way for, the rise of Buddhism.
Yeah, that's a great point. Buddha's rejection of the caste system is a really key turning point
Yeah.
because it highlighted that even within this rigid framework,
Yeah.
there's space for alternative perspectives to emerge and gain traction. And his teachings resonated very deeply with people, and that actually led to the spread of Buddhism. And for a period of time, it even surpassed Brahmanism.
So how did Brahmanism reclaim its dominance?
Well, it adapted,
Okay.
and it evolved into what we now know as Hinduism. It absorbed elements from other religions,
Mm-hmm.
became more inclusive, more multifaceted, and ultimately ended up pushing Buddhism out of India,
Wow.
which just goes to show you that these belief systems are dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very much tied to power.
Yeah, a constant push and pull of ideas and beliefs makes you realize that even ancient traditions, aren't static. They're always evolving.
Absolutely.
But let's step away from the social structures for a moment
Yeah.
and get into the more fantastical realm of Indian mythology itself. Where do we even begin with this?
Well, I think we have to begin at the very beginning, right?
Okay.
With the cosmic cycles of creation and destruction,
Mm.
which is this core concept in Hindu cosmology.
Mm.
And just prepare to have your mind expanded.
Oh, I'm ready for mind-blowing stuff. Hit me with it.
Okay, so imagine this. The universe begins with Brahma, the creator god,
Okay.
emerging from a golden egg, born from Brahman,
Mm.
which is the ultimate reality, the source of all existence.
Okay.
And these cycles of creation and destruction are vast.
Oh.
Each cycle, or what they call a yuga, lasts for a staggering 86.4 billion years.
Wait, 86.4 billion years? That's so incredibly close to current scientific estimates of the age of the Earth.
Right.
Is that a coincidence?
It's a pretty fascinating parallel, isn't it?
It really is.
Each yuga is further divided into 4 stages.
Okay.
And each stage is marked by kind of a decline in virtue and lifespan.
Okay.
And it culminates in what we call Kali Yuga, which is our current era, an era of strife and discord.
So we're in the bad times, cosmically speaking. Explains a lot, actually.
But even this era is only part of a much grander cycle.
Oh, okay.
So imagine Brahma's day encompasses thousands of these world cycles,
Mhm.
followed by an equally long night of cosmic rest.
I mean, talk about putting things into perspective. I mean, those timescales are almost impossible to grasp. Makes our human lifespan feel like what, like a blink of an eye?
Yeah.
But who are the key players in this cosmic dance?
Well, at the heart of it all is the Trimurti. So Brahma the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva the destroyer.
Okay, the big three.
Each plays a really crucial role in maintaining this delicate order of the universe.
Like a cosmic balancing act, each with their own kind of energy and domain.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And so while Brahma is responsible for creation, it's actually Vishnu, the preserver, who's the most popular god in India today.
Interesting.
His benevolent nature and his role as a protector really resonates with people.
I can see why.
Shiva often gets a bad rap because he's the destroyer. But destruction in Hindu mythology isn't like an ending. It's actually essential for renewal and rebirth.
Right, it's like paving the way for new beginnings.
Absolutely.
Makes me think of the phoenix rising from the ashes, that kind of imagery, which you see in so many different cultures.
Totally.
I find the Trimurti concept, this trinity of gods with distinct roles, really fascinating. Do you think there could be any connection to the Western concept of God? Like, are we all tapping into the same cosmic wellspring, just expressing it through the unique perspectives of our own cultures?
That's a really interesting thought. I think it's certainly worth considering. But I think for now,
Yeah.
let's actually dive a little deeper
Mm-hmm.
into the intriguing world of Shiva, the god of destruction. His stories, I think, are just filled with drama and intrigue.
Okay, I'm all ears. What makes his story so captivating?
Well, it all starts with his marriage to Parvati, the daughter of Himavat, the god of the Himalayas.
Okay.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
Parvati is actually the reincarnation of Shiva's first wife, Sati.
Reincarnation. Now, the cosmic cycles are really starting to weave together here.
Exactly.
Tell me more about the Sati, and why did she need to be reborn?
So Sati's father, Daksha, deeply disapproves of Shiva. And when Daksha held this grand sacrifice, he deliberately excluded both Shiva and Sati.
Oh, ouch!
And so Sati, heartbroken and enraged, chose to self-immolate in her father's sacrificial fire.
Wow. What a powerful and tragic act of defiance.
It was.
What happened next?
Shiva's grief and rage when he learned about Sati's death were immeasurable.
Yeah.
And he actually performed this destructive dance.
Hmm.
And his fury threatened to annihilate the entire universe.
Wow.
It was actually Vishnu, the preserver, who intervened,
Mm-hmm.
calmed Shiva down, and he scattered Sati's remains to prevent further destruction and also to ensure her eventual rebirth as Parvati.
So even in their grief and rage, the gods are still bound by this cosmic order.
It's true.
This myth actually makes me think about the historical practice of Sati,
Right.
or widow burning in India. Just a really tragic and misguided interpretation of devotion.
Yeah, thankfully Sati was outlawed in India in 1987.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you how these deeply ingrained cultural practices can and should be challenged when they violate human rights.
Absolutely, yeah. But back to Shiva and Parvati. What happened when they reunited in Parvati's new life?
Well, their union brought forth Ganesha,
Okay.
the elephant-headed god of wisdom and the remover of obstacles.
Ganesha.
Yeah.
Now that's a god you don't see every day. How did he end up with an elephant's head?
Well, there are different versions of the story,
Okay.
but one popular account says that Shiva returned home after a long absence and encountered Ganesha, whom he didn't recognize.
Okay.
A fierce battle ensued,
Oh.
and in a fit of rage, Shiva severed Ganesha's head.
Wow. Talk about family drama.
Right.
Jeez.
Parvati was, understandably, devastated,
Mhm.
and she demanded that Shiva restore their son. And so, unable to find Ganesha's original head, Shiva replaced it with the head of an elephant, the first one that he encountered.
So a little bit of divine improvisation saved the day.
Right.
But it's a lot more than that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Ganesha's elephant head is symbolic.
Yeah, it represents wisdom, strength, overcoming obstacles. It's a reminder that even from seemingly tragic events, new beginnings, and unexpected blessings can arise.
It's a message that really transcends cultures and time, for
Yeah.
sure. But what else is Ganesha known for, besides his striking appearance?
Well, he's actually credited with writing the Mahabharata,
Wow.
one of Hinduism's epic texts. And it's said to be so vast and so intricate, it contains all human knowledge.
Wow.
Legend has it that even broke his writing implement while transcribing this epic tale,
Right.
and without hesitation, used his own broken tusk to finish the job.
No, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Speaks to the power of perseverance and creative problem solving.
Absolutely.
But we can't talk about Hindu mythology without mentioning the classic battle of good versus evil. What's the Hindu version of this eternal struggle?
Yeah, it's the epic conflict between the devas,
Okay.
the gods, and the asuras, the demons.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a recurring theme that represents the clash between order and chaos, righteousness and ambition.
So a classic good versus evil showdown.
Well, it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
So the devas, led by the Trimurti,
Right.
they're generally associated with order and righteousness,
Mm.
maintaining cosmic balance. The asuras, while they're often depicted as antagonists, they're not inherently evil. They represent ambition, power, and a challenge to the established order.
Yeah.
So it's more about the interplay of these forces
Got it.
than like a clear-cut battle between good and evil.
So it's more nuanced than just a black and white good versus evil paradigm.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you know what I think is really interesting? The terminology itself, deva, kind of sounds like devil in Western traditions,
Right.
whereas asura resembles words for benevolent spirits. So, it just goes to show you how cultures perceive and label these fundamental forces in very different ways.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that there are multiple perspectives on even the most, universal of concepts.
Absolutely.
But before we go any further, let's talk for a second about these powerful female deities, Durga and Kali.
Yeah.
I mean, they just seem like a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, they are. They're
Yeah.
two of the most potent and awe-inspiring goddesses in Hindu mythology. They're both avatars or incarnations of Parvati, embodying feminine power and ferocity.
Avatars, so it's like different expressions of the same divine energy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Durga is often depicted as this 10-armed warrior goddess, riding a lion or a tiger, armed with a variety of weapons, each with their own symbolic significance.
Hmm.
And she's the protector of cosmic order. She vanquished the demon king Durgamasur, whose name she actually adopts as a symbol of her victory.
What a powerful image. I mean, a goddess who's both fierce and protective. What about Kali? What makes her so different?
Kali is perhaps the most fearsome and often misunderstood of Parvati's forms.
Okay.
She's a dark and terrifying goddess, associated with time, destruction, and ultimately liberation.
Liberation through destruction. That's an intense concept.
Right. And her iconography is really striking, and to some, quite disturbing. She's depicted with black skin, a blood-red tongue, a garland of skulls, and wielding weapons dripping with blood.
Yeah. Okay, that's definitely not your typical, benevolent goddess.
No.
What's the story behind this fierce depiction?
So Kali was born from Parvati's forehead to defeat the demon Raktabija, whose blood created new demons every time it was filled.
Oh, wow.
So only Kali's insatiable thirst for blood could stop his reign of terror.
So a goddess born for a specific purpose sounds like a desperate measure to combat, like an unstoppable force.
It was a battle of cosmic proportions.
Yeah.
But Kali's destructive power, while terrifying,
Yeah.
isn't inherently evil. It represents the dissolution of ego, the dismantling of illusions, and the inevitability of death and rebirth.
I see. So like a reminder that even destruction can be a force for change and ultimately liberation.
Exactly.
But what happened after Kali defeated this Raktabija? Did things go back to normal?
Well, intoxicated by victory, Kali's rampage continued,
Uh-oh.
and her frenzied dance threatened to destroy the entire universe.
Wow, so even a demon-slaying goddess can kind of lose control.
It's true. And it was Shiva, her own husband, who had to intervene to stop her. Unable to fight her directly, he threw himself under her feet,
Yeah.
absorbing the impact of her dance, and ultimately saved the world from annihilation.
That's a powerful image of sacrifice. It shows that even the most potent forces need balance and control. Kind of highlights that core principle of duality that we see so much in Hindu mythology.
Absolutely. Yeah, this dance between creation and destruction, order and chaos, light and darkness.
Right.
And through this interplay, the universe finds its rhythm and its harmony. It reminds us that even life itself is a tapestry woven from these seemingly opposing forces.
Yeah.
But I think we should probably wrap up part 1 of our deep dive into Indian mythology here.
Okay.
But stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore even more captivating tales and delve even deeper into the philosophical depths of these ancient beliefs.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Indian mythology. It's pretty wild how these ancient beliefs continue to shape India today.
Yeah, from social structures to their daily practices.
Right, and it really speaks to the power of these stories. Like, they're not just ancient history, they're narratives that continue to inform and inspire people today.
It's true.
Speaking of narratives, earlier you mentioned the Mahabharata, this text that's so vast, it's said to contain all human knowledge.
Right.
What's the story behind this monumental work? I mean, it sounds almost mythical in itself.
Yeah, so the Mahabharata is essentially a story of two warring families, the Pandavas and the Kauravas.
Okay.
And they're locked in this struggle for control over a kingdom. And it's full of political intrigue, moral dilemmas, love, loss, and ultimately this devastating war that completely changes the course of their civilization.
So it's like an epic tale that you could get lost in for days.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's also so much more than just a captivating story. The Mahabharata is actually a philosophical treatise
Okay.
that explores themes of duty, dharma, or righteous conduct,
Right.
karma, or action and consequences, and all the kind of complexities of human relationships.
So it's like a window into the soul of ancient India, reflecting its values, beliefs, and like these timeless questions that, humans have been wrestling with for millennia.
Exactly. And within this epic, we also find the Bhagavad Gita,
Okay.
which is a text that actually transcends cultural and religious boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it resonates with, truth seekers from all walks of life.
The Bhagavad Gita, yeah, I've definitely heard of that, even outside the context of Indian mythology. What is it about that text that makes it so universally appealing?
Well, the Bhagavad Gita takes the form of a dialogue between Arjuna, a Pandava prince,
Okay.
who's facing a moral crisis
Yeah.
on the battlefield,
Okay.
and his charioteer, who happens to be Krishna,
Okay.
an avatar of Vishnu.
Wait, so a god is his charioteer? I mean, talk about divine intervention.
Right.
Wow.
So Arjuna is torn between his duty as a warrior
Okay.
and his reluctance to fight against his own family. And so Krishna guides him through this existential crisis and offers these really profound insights into dharma, karma, the self, and ultimately, ultimate reality.
So it's like a philosophical and spiritual guide for navigating all of life's challenges.
Exactly. The Bhagavad Gita's teachings have inspired countless individuals throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
And it offers a framework for understanding what it means to be human.
Wow.
It urges us to act with clarity and purpose, detached from the outcome of our actions, focusing on the journey rather than the destination.
I mean, it's pretty incredible how these ancient texts continue to resonate with modern audiences. There's There's a timeless wisdom there that speaks to the core of our human experience. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about something a little more lighthearted. You mentioned earlier that Shiva has a white bull as his mount.
Oh, right.
Tell me more about this intriguing companion.
Yeah, so Nandi, the sacred bull, he's Shiva's loyal companion and gatekeeper.
Hmm. I've always wondered, is that why Hindus revere cows and abstain from eating beef?
It's definitely a common understanding. The cow, in Hinduism, is a very sacred animal, symbolizing motherhood, nurturing, and abundance. And its association with Shiva kind of elevates its status even further,
Makes sense.
making beef consumption taboo for devout Hindus.
It's fascinating how those seemingly, simple connections between myth and daily life shape entire cultural practices. Really shows how deeply intertwined religion and culture can be.
It's true.
Yeah?
And the symbolism of the cow goes beyond its connection to Shiva. So in Hinduism, the universe is often depicted as a cosmic cow,
Okay.
with its milk representing nourishment and sustenance. The cow's gentle nature, its ability to provide without being harmed, makes it a very potent symbol of nonviolence and compassion.
Yeah, it's a beautiful metaphor for the interconnectedness of all life and the importance of harmony with nature.
Exactly. But I think it's also important to remember that Hinduism is not monolithic. So while the cow is universally revered, different regions and different sects within Hinduism have their own unique interpretations and practices.
So there's room for individual expression within that larger framework.
Absolutely. And this diversity is also reflected in, the multitude of gods and goddesses that populate the Hindu pantheon. We've only scratched the surface here.
Right.
But each deity has their own unique story, their own symbolism, and their own devoted following.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that belief systems are rarely black and white. They're constantly evolving, adapting, and finding new ways to express the mysteries of existence.
That's true.
And our exploration of Indian mythology and its impact on society isn't over yet. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve deeper into the philosophical underpinnings of these ancient beliefs and consider their relevance in the modern world.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from cosmic cycles to epic battles, and it's really incredible how these ancient beliefs are still relevant in India today.
Yeah, and they're still evolving and adapting, too. One thing that keeps coming up is this idea of liberation, or moksha. It's like the ultimate goal in Hindu philosophy.
Right.
It's fascinating, but kind of daunting, too. What does it actually mean to achieve liberation, in this context?
Well, moksha is basically about breaking free from samsara, which is that cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It's like transcending the limitations of the material world and merging with the ultimate reality, Brahman.
So it's not about heaven or hell, but about escaping this endless cycle of reincarnation.
Exactly. And the path to moksha isn't like a single road. It can take many forms.
Okay.
It's about cultivating self-awareness, detaching from material desires, performing good deeds, and realizing that interconnectedness of all things.
Sounds like a lifelong pursuit, like a continuous process of self-discovery and spiritual growth.
It is.
It makes you wonder, though, how does the caste system fit into all of this? It seems like a system that inherently limits opportunities, especially for those in the lower castes, to even begin that journey.
That's a really important question. And it's a source of ongoing debate and reform within Hinduism itself.
Okay.
The caste system, with its rigid hierarchy, definitely presents a challenge to this ideal of universal liberation. And a lot of contemporary Hindu scholars actually argue that the caste system, as it exists today, is a distortion of its original intent.
So the way it's practiced now isn't how it was originally conceived.
Yeah. They believe it was meant to create a harmonious society based on cooperation and mutual respect, with roles determined by, a person's inherent qualities and actions, not just their birth.
I see.
And they point to the Bhagavad Gita, which emphasizes that true dharma is about inner qualities, not social standing.
Right. So it's a reminder that even ancient traditions, aren't static. They're constantly being reinterpreted.
Absolutely.
Let's bring it back to the individual, though. If the ultimate goal is to achieve moksha, to escape this cycle of reincarnation, what does it mean to actually live a life worthy of liberation?
That's a question each individual has to answer for themselves. It's a deeply personal journey. Self-reflection, introspection, and a sincere pursuit of truth. And the myths and stories that we've been talking about, they offer some guidance, I think.
Okay.
Highlighting virtues like compassion, nonviolence, selflessness, and the pursuit of knowledge.
So it's not about following a strict set of rules, but living a life that's aligned with these core values.
Exactly. It's about cultivating inner peace,
Yeah.
recognizing our interconnectedness,
Yeah.
and acting with intention and purpose, drawing wisdom from these ancient traditions.
It's challenging, but ultimately a really empowering message. It puts the responsibility for our actions, our choices, and our own spiritual growth like squarely on us.
It does. And it leaves us with a pretty profound question to ponder, I think.
What's that?
If we could break free from this cycle of birth and death, what kind of legacy would we want to leave behind? What impact do we want to have on the world?
That's a powerful thought to end on. It encourages us to, think beyond our own individual lives and consider the greater good, the web that we're all a part of.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that even in a world that's so driven by technology and material pursuits,
Yeah.
the wisdom of these ancient myths,
Yeah.
they can still offer us guidance, solace, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of Indian mythology. We've only scratched the surface, but hopefully this has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to learn more. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.